No matter how painful the tragedy is, and no matter how tragic the images are, our Iman, the Quran, the Seerah, it keeps on reminding us that we must always have the best thoughts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We must always be optimistic. We must always understand that the positives shall outweigh the negatives. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran, when the calamity came down, when they tasted all of this pain and suffering, why didn't they turn back to us? Why didn't they rediscover us? Allah is questioning the kuffar, the Quraysh. Why didn't they go back to Allah? Meaning, if we turn back to Allah, that calamity has a wisdom. That tragedy has some benefit. We turn back to Allah so many times in the Quran. We sent upon them ba'sa and dharra, calamities and trials, لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجِعُونَ, so that they can come back to me, so that they can return to me. This type of tragedy, the least it should motivate us to do is to be better Muslims. Every one of us, we have the freedoms to pray, the freedoms to fast, the freedoms to be righteous. Our brothers and sisters are being slaughtered. They don't have those freedoms. How then can we not take advantage of those freedoms? That is a massive positive that comes out. Our Iman is stirred up. Our sense of religiosity is awakened. And this is one of the goals of pain and tragedy. Of the wisdoms of pain and tragedy, of the wisdoms of suffering, especially for those that are actually being inflicted upon this, is so that their ranks are raised up and that Allah Azza wa Jal blesses some amongst them. Now, we don't look forward to death. This is human nature. We don't desire useless martyrdom. We don't just rush in and die for no reason. But those that have passed away, we console ourselves that Allah Azza wa Jal chose them. You see, there's a difference. When they're alive, we protect them as much as we can. We don't do anything foolish. But once death happens, then Allah says in the Quran, when the battle of Uhud took place, Allah Azza wa Jalla says, don't think this is bad. No. وَلِيَعْلَمَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَيَتَّخِذَ مِنْكُمْ شُهَدَاءَ. Allah wants to test your Iman and take shuhada from amongst you. Allah mentions this as one of the wisdoms of the tragedy of Uhud. Uhud was also a setback. Over 70 Muslims were killed. The uncle of the Prophet ﷺ was mutilated. The Prophet ﷺ himself was wounded 3 times. 3 times he was wounded. And Allah says, don't think it is evil. No, there's wisdoms. And of the wisdoms, I want to test the people of Iman. I want your Iman to be better, stronger, more perfect. And we see this happening across the Ummah, and especially amongst those people, that generation, that sha'ab, that entire group of people who have been tortured for 80 years. Look at how strong their Iman is. I swear to you, any other faith community, they would have lost their faith. What type of God is this that is doing this? But look at what is happening to our Palestinian brothers and sisters. Wallahi, the mothers are happy. The fathers are accepting Allah's qadr. A young child, 8-year-old, is giving shahada to his 6-year-old brother who's dying. Say after me, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. What Iman is this? Where does this Iman come from? How can this generation of 80 years torture still have such strong Iman that it puts people like us here living in comfort to shame? Where does that courage come from? This is the reality of Iman. And Allah says in the Quran, وَلِيَعْلَمَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. Allah wants to see the Iman from the people of Iman. And Allah wants to take shuhada from amongst you. So there's no question that this group of people, they're being refined, they're being raised up, they're being honed, they're being fine-tuned. Their Iman, their courage is being raised higher and higher, so that when the time comes, we will need that Iman and we will see that Iman, brothers and sisters. Do not trivialize this point. Allah Azza wa Jalla is preparing and Allah is choosing. This is not an excuse for us to do nothing. It's a consolation for what is happening.